paper person. What are we continuing to study? Have you fallen asleep? Do you remember? The live stroll technique. Don't worry, my lambs. It's not that difficult. It just requires practice. Regular, systematic practice. If you have not tried it yet and have only read about it or listened or stared at me wide-eyed, try it. You'll do it easily. The outer, not inner intention propels the frame. The outer intention is a kind of power, a driver of reality. Metapower is the reactive component of power. The plate is your outer center, your access point to power. Power is used indirectly, like metapower, through the medium of the plate. Metapower sets in when you activate the plate and compose your reality. And so, you take a live stroll through a film when you are fully present and move with the power of intention. Failing this, you are not fully live, and you aren't waking at all. Failing this, you are not fully live, and you aren't walking at all. You're just fulfilling a prescribed role. Failing this, you are not fully alive, and you aren't walking at all. You're just fulfilling a prescribed role. How else can I offend you? When your awareness is absent, you are not fully yourself. You aren't there at all. You are just a fictional character, like an illustration in a book. You could cut a figure out of paper and insert it between the pages of a book. That is what you are. What can a paper person do, to say nothing of a paper snail? Sit like a prisoner in a book? That's all. All that distinguishes you from a purely fictional character are rare glimmers of self-awareness. When you exclaim, "Why isn't everything the way I want it to be?" That is where the difference ends. Everything isn't the way you want it to be because you always act head-on with your petty intention. You want to be loved, respected, helped with something, given something, and so you demand in a childish manner, "Love me, respect me, help me, give me." From the outside, this is what the scene looks like. You are standing in front of a mirror, reaching your hands out and shouting, "Give it to me." Try to pull the reflection closer. The reflection responds by doing the same. It does not give, it takes away. In reality, as in the mirror, you always get the reflection of all your mental attitudes and actions. As the message, so the response. What you put out is what you get back. You probably don't remember, for you don't, do you? But as I have already said, even in a state of distraction and non-awareness, you still compose your reality to some degree. Not as effectively as you do with awareness and intention, with the plate, but you are still composing it nonetheless. Particularly when you are wholeheartedly set against something. Reality, as a rule, gives a mirror-like response. What you give out is what you get back. Reality, however, isn't like a normal mirror. It's a paradoxical mirror. Its paradox lies in the fact that when you look into it, you don't see yourself objectively as you really are. This is because the reflection is the set of physical circumstances that surround you, the current frame. Your attention is totally immersed in that reflection. This means that yourself is literally pasted into the motion picture like a fictional character or an illustration in a book. Being a character inside a film, you aren't capable of changing or shifting the reflection in any way. You can't propel yourself ahead either. Your I dissolves into the frame and ceases to exist. You acquire the ability to propel yourself ahead and things outside of yourself when you pull your attention away from the motion picture, or away from the mirror, which amounts to the same thing. Your body remains inside it, in the reflection, but your attention is focused here, outside of the mirror, on the side of the image that is being reflected. And then you see yourself standing in front of a mirror, and you see reality as a reflection of all your thoughts and actions. Only when you see yourself here, standing facing the mirror, you are able to propel yourself forward in such a way that everything is how I want it to be in the reflection. As you probably wouldn't have guessed, for you haven't, have you? We are talking once again about your presence. You are your attention. You are either a living individual and you exist, or you are a paper person and you don't exist. You are only present in the film when your attention is focused on the auditorium, where you can see both yourself and reality. In essence, wherever the screen is, you'll find the mirror too. The difference between a normal screen or mirror and the reality screen or mirror is that In reality, the image and its reflection are superimposed. You observe one image around you, not an image separated by a surface into two. But that doesn't change the essence of the thing. Your everyday reality is created by your thoughts and actions. If, when standing in front of the mirror or screen, you propel yourself consciously, then the reflection will look the same. When you do this, you are practically shooting your own film, your own reality. The first thing you must do in order to shoot your own film is to wake up and become fully present. Imagine that you have come to life inside a film. You aren't watching the film as you usually do. You are living in it. Feel it. Open your eyes and look at everything that surrounds you afresh. Refresh your view. You'll notice that the colors are richer. And now imagine how you would feel to be not a character in a film, but an objective outsider. But you have entered the film as an insider. No one knows except you. In body, you are inside the film, but in your awareness, you are outside of it. Feel your individuality, your presence. Second, before you start desiring, expecting, and asking something of other people in reality, you must imagine that you are standing in front of a mirror and asking yourself the question, what must I do for the reflection to meet me halfway? Obviously, you have to make the first move. Instead of your usual manner of claiming the larger portion of the cake for yourself and harping on give, 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 you wake up and realize that the reality mirror is simply repeating your movements. And if you want to receive something, you must first give something similar. It doesn't actually matter what it is. Simply replace your give me with the opposite, here take. Then, as if by magic, in the reflection, you will receive the very thing you wanted. What you give out is what you get back. Composing the image. As always, my dears, we dutifully repeat what we've covered so far. Reality, like a mirror, reflects all your thoughts and actions. Your thoughts and actions are usually love me, help me, give me. In the reflection, you get literally the same thing. Give, give, give. Acting with petty intent, you do not see yourself objectively. To see yourself objectively, become fully present. Refresh your view. Feel your individuality within the motion picture. Categorically replace all your give-me's with here, take. From what has been said, it follows that all your actions must be squared with the mirror-like quality of reality. Before you demand something from others, make sure you are fully present and ask yourself, what do I need to do for the reflection to meet me halfway? Obviously, the answer is, take the first step. What would the first step be in your case? Silly snails only consider their actions when they are standing in front of a normal mirror looking at their own reflection. But you, my golden ones, are now so clever, so cunning, that you are sure to understand. Your thoughts and actions should take the mirror into account, even if it is one that you cannot see. For example, let's say you need love and kindness. Imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror. Move in such a way that you see these things in the reflection. How should you move? Don't seek love, radiate love. Don't look for kindness, radiate charm, and be kind. Try the principle out for yourself. Whom do you find more attractive? The person who loves you or the person who is needy of your love? The person who gives to you selflessly or the one who begs you for something? The person who is genuinely interested in you or the one who seeks your attention? Use the following table to compose the image you want. You want fun time with friends. Compose the image by listening carefully. The reflection gives people socialize with you. If you want to be interesting, show interest and people will be interested in you. If you want to receive help and support, help others and people will help you. If you want people to understand you, try understanding others and then people will understand you. If you want people to be compassionate toward you, show compassion to other people and it will be reciprocated. Approval will be reciprocated by showing approval. If you want to gain respect, give respect, and you will be respected. If you want to receive gratitude, try showing gratitude, and you'll be appreciated. If you want to be liked by others, be kind, and people will like you. If you want to be admired by others, show people admiration, and people will admire you in turn. If you want to be loved, be loving, and you will be loved by the reflection. Simply line up all your thoughts and actions with a plus sign beside each one. All your give me's have a minus sign after them and either don't work or create the opposite effect. Similarly, all your negative thoughts and actions come back to you like a boomerang. If you don't want to encounter aggressive types, then don't show aggression. If you don't want to be criticized, then don't criticize other people. If you don't want to be judged, then don't judge anybody else. If you don't want to suffer damage, then don't harm anyone. If you don't want to be afraid, then don't make threats. If you don't want to have an unpleasant personality, then don't cause trouble. You don't want a hailstorm of boomerangs to drop on your head from nowhere, so don't throw them into the mirror. The mirror does not always return everything as an exact copy. The cause-effect relationships of all kinds of misfortune can't always clearly be traced. The only thing that is inevitable is that the boomerang will return, sooner or later, in one form or another. Have you hurt someone? Dig yourself out in all kinds of different ways. Have you done something nice for someone? You will be rewarded. And now, the specific image method. As soon as you find yourself wanting something from someone, wake up and stand in front of the mirror. What do you need to do for the reflection to meet you halfway? Give to others the very thing that you would like to receive. If you catch yourself thinking, I want other people to give me something, be fully present. Wanting is futile. You have to give. Ask yourself, what can I give that is the same? If you find something similar, give it now and give it up front. If you don't find something similar, then just give anyway. It is not always possible or appropriate to give to another the very thing you would like to receive, or even something close to it. You can give anything you see that a person needs or that will make them feel good, from a compliment to a gift. It is not difficult to work out what a person needs. All it takes is to show genuine interest. From then on, it's easy. Just make sure everything has a plus sign beside it. There is a general principle for image composition. Rather than complaining to the world, love it. In reality, all you need is love. You know this. It's just that you don't always take these words in the right context. You want people to love you. You think that first people will love you and then you will love the world, but it should be the other way around. You love, you radiate love without demanding anything in return, and only then does love come to you. There is a certain type of person who will willingly use your love without giving anything on their part. Stay away from people like that. You don't need them in your life. Now come closer, closer, my darlings. I am Tufti, your priestess. Communicating with the mirror. And so here we are, my pretties. Now you know how to propel yourself from within, not to wait, request, or demand, but to move through life in your own way so that you get what you desire as if you were standing in front of a mirror. Your actions must be squared with the mirror-like quality of reality. What do you need to do for the reflection to meet you halfway? Give to others the very thing that you would like to receive. All your give me's have a minus sign. These create the opposite. You don't receive. Negative thoughts and actions come back to you like a boomerang. Line up all your thoughts and actions with a plus sign beside them. So, what else can you do in the current frame aside from composing your own forthcoming reality? Move and propel yourself from within. If you focus on self-development, and on top of that, you know the image composition technique, you will have no equal among snails. Pitiful efforts to change the current frame, i.e. to directly influence the current course of events, will either lead to nothing or have the opposite effect. Trying to influence other people is also pointless. They are characters who are being led by a script, just like you. Judge for yourself. Would you really allow yourself to be influenced? There's no persuading you. If you don't want to go in a certain direction, no one will be able to influence you otherwise. Is that not true, my resolutes? You can change the course of events in a movie by changing the film roll, but never from within the film itself. The only way of influencing people indirectly, we aren't considering methods of compulsion here, obviously, is to enter into a relationship with them in accordance with the mirror principle. This is the only way of making people do willingly the thing that you would like them to do. Why should people want to do the things or give the things you would like them to? The nature of reality is such that it's not just a film, it's a mirror as well. Composing the image has a similar effect to composing reality. Only the mechanism in this case is different, more mirror-like. You can't shape the behavior of others like you do in reality. If, when composing the goal frame, you try and forcibly make a certain individual dance to your tune, it probably won't work, or it will produce the opposite effect because you're breaking the rules twofold. You're intruding on someone else's script. Only your personal reality is yours to play with, so you should be the central figure in the goal frame, figured as you imagine yourself to be in your dreams. You are the star on the stage. You are in the director's chair. You are sailing your own yacht. All other figures in the frame should be in the background as part of the set design. Remember this, you can create your own reality. You can't create other people's reality. All you can do is have a mirror-like relationship with them. If you want something specific from a certain person, go and see them and communicate with them within the current film, taking account of the fact that the film is mirror-like in nature. On no account, for example, should you try and manipulate a certain person into walking down the aisle with you, but you can imagine in your goal frame walking down the aisle with an abstract, imaginary individual, your ideal partner, or living happily in your future home with your future family. Then, your film strip will be replaced by another in which you meet the person with whom such a set design can be manifest into physical reality. If you have a specific individual in mind, don't bother working hard to shoot a film with her, as it won't work. Go and talk to her, as if with a mirror, composing your image. The most important thing, I'll say it again and again, my forgetful ones, over and over, is to remember where you are. You are in a film, surrounded by fictional characters being directed by the script. On the one hand, you can switch the film roll. On the other hand, it has a mirror reality, which is deceptive in the sense that it does not have a visible surface separating the image from the reflection. You have the opportunity to wake up in the movie, look around, and start strolling live as conscious individuals, influencing reality at your own discretion. If you don't, you will be just the same as all the other characters, my pitiful ones, being directed by the script, acting as if you were in a fog, as if you were in a dream, and then you can have very little influence on anything at all. One more thing you need to know and remember is that unlike the characters in dreams, who are completely subordinate to the script, and unlike animals, which are ruled by instinct, and again, the script, you are endowed with a capacity for self-awareness. It may rarely be awakened, in occasional glimpses only, but you have the capacity nonetheless. And so, you are led not only by an external engine, the script, but also by an internal driving force. What force is this exactly? It is very simple. It is the need for a feeling of self-worth and the pursuit of self-realization. Imagine that you've just been born into the world. What will you do? First and foremost, prove to yourself and everyone else that you're not a waste of space and that you weren't born in vain. This is basically what you have been doing all your life. The form and method this takes are different for everyone, but the root of the behavior is the same. From here, there emerges another very effective mirror principle. If you want to win someone's favor or receive something from them, set yourself the goal of emphasizing their importance and help them in the process of their own self-realization. Obviously, you will have to forget about your own importance for a while and focus on the importance of others. It is a paradox because here, it's all the same mirror. You benefit when you think about the benefit of others rather than your own benefit. If you do not want to make enemies, beware of the danger of bruising someone else's feeling of self-worth. As I said before, helping others gain the advantage should be part of your personal life philosophy. If you do this, you will have no difficulty with your own self-realization. Moreover, your own realization will be successful only when it benefits others. Conversely, if what you do is of no benefit to others, it won't really help you either. Manipulation. That's how it is, my beauties. Once again, it all has very little to do with you. We don't try to influence people and events directly, hands behind your back, and move forward from within. You can manipulate reality. You can't manipulate people. With others, all you can do is to communicate, bearing the mirror principles in mind. When you compose your picture of reality, see abstract people and set designs. Be very careful of bruising anyone else's feeling of self-worth. Strive to emphasize the importance of others and help them achieve self-realization. Your own realization is only successful if it benefits others. Don't forget to be present and remember the mirror. Just remember that both the positive and the negative will come back to you like a boomerang. When you are being fully present, to those who are still asleep, you appear as fireflies, all cute and inviting. And if, at the same time, you communicate with them, as if with a mirror, you will be an all-around favorite. You have already learned many of reality's secrets, but it's too soon for you to switch off just yet. There may be other advanced snails who will try to manipulate your consciousness, especially those who are endowed with power and access to the mass media by the script. Therefore, keep your horns pricked up, do not let yourself be controlled, and do not fall asleep. It is possible to manipulate a character's consciousness from within the current frame, as you are already aware. You are led both by the external script and an inner driving force, although by the latter to a far lesser degree. This driving force mainly determines the direction in which you move, but it is still the script that sets you in motion. However, there are very greedy snails who may try to alter the direction your life course is taking to suit their own interests, either because of their intentions or because of the script. This is manipulation, the attempt to control someone else's path within the film. Manipulation can take the form of deception, creating false values and goals, or playing on the weaknesses and needs of others. Unlike the mirror principles that assist your course rather than disturbing it, manipulators will divert you from your true course and try to use you. Whenever you feel that something is being imposed upon you, ask yourself, who does this benefit and how? Don't get involved in manipulating others. It's a shameful business not to be indulged in. Manipulating reality, however, is another matter entirely. You could even say that it's legitimate. Reality is constantly fooling you with its illusions. Why shouldn't you settle the score, my secret maniacs and furtive super freaks? You are sure to enjoy it. Now let's look at how. Reality is dual in nature. On the one hand, it is a film, and on the other hand, a three-dimensional mirror. Both are bound to confuse. The main illusion is that the true nature of reality is hidden. You can't see the space of a film strip, and the mirror framework itself isn't visible. But if you know this, and you remember that reality is dual in nature, then the illusion will lose its power over you. So when you stand in front of an ordinary flat mirror, you observe simultaneously the image, the subject, and its reflection, and so the correlation between the two is obvious. However, the correlation has not always been obvious. You don't remember your facial expressions as they were when you looked in a mirror for the very first time. But I tell you this, back then, you did not understand anything. To you, it was just a fantastic illusion because you did not understand the principle of how it worked. The illusion of a normal mirror remains incomprehensible even to this day if you look at a mirror from a different perspective. The illusion of the reality mirror is much more complex still. The space is not split in half, and there is no visible boundary between what is real and what is imaginary. You are, at the same time, both inside and outside of the mirror. The mirror works with a delay factor, and it does not provide an identical correlation between image and reflection. None of the messages you put out to the world will work instantly, and cause and effect relationships can't always be traced. Imagine what an ingenious illusion this is. The ultimate cunning lies in the fact that reality is pretending not to be a mirror. Still, you can get the better of this illusion. Now you know the principle of how a three-dimensional mirror works, and you know that the subject and the reflection in the mirror are concurrent. So what does that give us? It means that the image you create can become a reflection, and the reflection can flow back into the image. In other words, you can turn a reflection into an image by pretending you have something you don't, or that you are already the kind of person you have not yet become. For example, you want to have your own home. You wander around the shops looking at furniture and items to decorate the interior as if you already had a home. Or you might want to be wealthy. Look at expensive things, cars, yachts, spa resorts. Allow wealth into your life. You might want to become a star. Behave as if you were already a star. Live that life, for now, at least in your imagination. Don't worry if it feels like a game or self-deception. If you are serious in your approach to the game, reality will be forced to take you seriously. It is a mirror, after all. Or you had forgotten, your task is to feel. Now, how would you feel if you had already gotten what you want, or already were the person you'd like to be? You have to fake it and live out the game. It's make-believe, but it is not a joke. It's no joke, you see. So what happens next? Gradually, the picture of reality will attune itself to your make-believe. Reality loves to create illusions, but can't stand being fed them. It will find a way of turning the illusion you have created into reality. Composing the reflection. So, my conniving hypocrites and conspiring pretenders, you understand that strolling live through a motion picture is not just a matter of make-believe, it is also a masquerade. Manipulating another person's consciousness is paramount to controlling their course in life. Ask yourself, whom does this benefit and how? The nature of reality is twofold and furtive. It is a movie and a three-dimensional mirror. In reality, you are simultaneously inside and outside the mirror. Feel it and fake it as if you already had what you desire. Reality will gradually bring itself into alignment with your make-believe. Yes, it's playing a game with reality, but the game is real and quite serious. And yes, it's a masquerade. Reality has many different faces, and you too have your own masks for reality. Imitation and being present, allowing and tracking, observing and composing. The subject's image and its reflection. All this is on the one hand make-believe, and on the other hand very real. Now we'll discuss in more detail the meaning of what we talked about in our previous lesson. You can turn a reflection into an image, the subject, by pretending that you have something you don't yet have, or that you are someone who you have not yet become. This means that you are capable of generating an image as well as a reflection. In the first case, the image appears as a reflection, whereas in the second, the opposite is true. The reflection appears as the image. Why does one appear as the other, and why is this process two-way? It is because in the mirror, the image and its reflection are concurrent. The image in the context of your ability to shape reality is your thoughts and actions. The reflection is also you and your entire environment, i.e., your physical reality. First, direct process. What you put out is what you get back, and what you give is what you receive, and who you really are is what you have. Second, opposite process. As the game, so the reality. What you imitate is what you get. Who you pretend to be is who you will become. Directly, the image appears as the reflection. Composing the image is your way of putting a message out to reality. What you put out is what you have. Reversed, the reflection appears as the image. Make-believe and imitation is your way of composing the reflection. Who you have pretended to be is in reality the person you have become. All these exercises with the mirror are what is being referred to when we say moving from within. What is the difference between shaping an image or a reflection and shaping reality? When you compose an image or a reflection, you are working with the mirror. When you shape reality, you illuminate the upcoming frame. In each case, you are using a different aspect of the nature of reality. In the first case, the mirror. In the second, the film. The technique is different in each case, but the result is the same. What you desire becomes manifested in physical reality. You may question whether faking it is really enough to somehow miraculously turn something into reality. Don't worry, my timid little ones. Reality is quite pliable. It will find its ways and hows, for this is a film in many variations, and the illusory mirror is also an illusion, which can be shaped and controlled. All you have to do is remember and use the right approach. The first essential condition: it's a very serious game. When a good actor plays a role, they become transformed into their character. They literally live it because playing a role is a serious game. Your task is to perform the reverse path. From the character that you currently are, which you aren't satisfied with, you should become the actor playing the role of an imaginary character. You must live your role to such a degree that you genuinely are transformed into that being. This is the reverse process in which the reflection is transformed into the image of the subject. The second essential condition: the game needs to be consistent. The mirror of reality does not respond instantly. It has a time delay factor, so in order to create change, you have to act purposefully, methodically, and regularly. Once you have begun playing with reality, you must be patient. At first, you have to act blindly without relying on instant results. Results will most assuredly appear, but only if reality, observing your game, is the first to lose patience. Composing a reflection means creating your own illusion for reality. If there is something you want, pretend that you already have it. If there is someone you want to become, behave as if you were already that person. Be in the role, take it seriously, and live it like a professional actor. Live it in your thoughts, in virtual space, and where possible, in your actions, in reality, until you totally believe in the illusion that you have created. As soon as you believe it, reality will believe it too. Then a miracle will happen. And now the reflection method, again and again, over and over, my boring ones. 1. Catch yourself thinking, I want something, or I want to be a certain type of person. 2. Become fully present. Wanting is futile. You have to start composing. 3. Fake it and behave as if you had already achieved what you desire. It doesn't matter how exactly you fake it. That's for you to decide. But be inventive. That's something you don't need my advice on. The more creative you are, the more effective you will be. The technique of image composition is mostly used in relation to people. The technique of composing the reflection mostly in relation to reality. It is better not to pretend with other people, but to be sincere and to be yourself. But you can pretend as much as you like in front of the reality mirror, within limits, of course, and without losing a sense of reality. Remember that playing with the mirror in the upcoming frame alone is not enough. You also need to do everything that is required of you to realize the goal in the current frame. That is, to take concrete action and not just lie around on the sofa dreaming. Fatal dilemma. In the last lesson, I, divine and wonderful as I am, told you, insignificant and hateful as you are, that reality itself is an illusion. That does not mean that it is fake. To itself, reality is real. It is only to you that reality is illusory and uncontrollable because you aren't aware of the properties of reality or how to use them. It is like not knowing that you can ride a horse. If you don't ride the horse, it will gallop away with you and won't be yours to control. Reality isn't yours to control either. It has nothing to do with you. But if you are aware of its properties and use them, the illusion will become subject to your will. It will be yours. The image is the subject of your thoughts and actions. This is always primary. The reflection is you, your environment, your physical life. The image is the message you send out. What you give is what you get. Make-believe and imitation is your way of composing the reflection. What you imitate is what you get. Who you pretend to be is who you will become. Prerequisites. It's a game, but a systematic game taken with absolute seriousness. The image and the reflection become each other. They flow into each other in the sense that the image of your thoughts and actions has an effect on your entire life, and life in turn affects your behavior and thinking. If you let this process take its own course, you and your life will gradually deteriorate, as is usually the case. This is because when you observe such a life, your thoughts become more dismal, and the more dismal your thoughts, the worse life becomes, and so on, via the feedback loop. This is the fatal dilemma. Do you want to be happy and beautiful, or do you want to be devoured by a hippo? If you don't want the hippo, then quick, stop suffering and get composing. Get composing. You can compose an image, a reflection, and reality separately, depending on the circumstances, or you can integrate these techniques. For example, to achieve a certain goal, you can systematically compose the goal frame and at the same time pretending that you have already achieved your goal. And at the same time, making sure that all your thoughts and actions are marked with a plus sign beside them. The knack of using all the techniques together will come with practice. To build up experience, you should regularly and repeatedly practice strolling through a live film. You should constantly track yourself, wake up, and carry out the method. You may wonder whether so many different methods are really necessary. They are, and the reason for this is that the methods help you develop new habits. Because you are ruled by your habits. Without them, you are not capable of controlling yourself, or consequently reality. You live according to the habits you have developed. So you have to create the kind of habits that will work for you. You cannot stay being fully present all the time. You do everything by habits when you're in a non-conscious state. This means that if you are not sufficiently present and self-aware, you need to be able to carry out the right actions automatically. And for this to happen, at the very least, you must replace the habit of wanting with the habit of giving. Replace the habit of rejecting with the habit of accepting, and replace the habit of dropping off with the habit of waking up. These methods release you from the script, animate you in the movie, and at the same time make beneficial practices second nature. The proverb affirms, better good habits than good manners. The most beneficial habit is this: don't want things of reality. Visualize and compose reality. This is the main thing, and it has equally important derivatives. Don't be afraid. Compose instead. Don't wait. Compose instead. Don't hope. Compose instead. Don't lament. Compose instead. As soon as you catch yourself waiting for something, hoping for something, being anxious or burdened by something, wake up and be aware. You are being led by the external script, not your own script, and that is what is really burdening you. You feel subconsciously that you are not free, that you are depending on reality, that you are limited by circumstances like a character is limited by a plot. You may sense it, but you cannot do anything about it. Because you are not fully aware, you can do nothing except wait and hope. Now that you know that you can release yourself from the script and jump to another film role, the habit of waiting and hoping makes no sense at all. Instead, you should wake up and compose a picture of the reality you want. In the same way, it is futile to waste time lamenting your sorry lot. You have to wake up and derive benefit from the situation. Divination is also futile. You have to wake up and follow the dictates of power. For every situation, there is a corresponding trigger and method that can be applied. You have to get to the point where you truly know that holding out for something to happen or not happen, to work out or not work out, is foolish and pointless. It is within the power of your will to compose an image, a reflection, or reality, or all of these things at the same time. Compose whatever it is that you want. Do it yourself. Do it. Compose and compose some more. And don't forget to admire me. You are my favorites, captivating and entrancing, and I am your Tufti, magnificent and stunning. You are amazing. In one of our previous lessons, I stood here, magnificent and resplendent as I am, before you lot, useless and unattractive as you are, and uttered the brilliant phrase that reality pretends not to be a mirror. Similarly, reality pretends not to be a motion picture. This comes easily to reality. Try telling your neighbors, sleeping snails, that their life is a film. Or in a dream sometime, try telling the dream mannequins that you are sleeping and that you are seeing them in a dream. Neither the former nor the latter will understand or believe you. There's no point in trying to persuade them. Convince yourself properly first. You need reprogramming. You sense that you are being led by an external script. This is what burdens you. The different types of composition can be applied individually or together. Strolling live has to be practiced constantly and consistently. The methods instill new habits that work for you. Holding out for something that may or may not happen is foolish and futile. Don't want, wait, or hope. Compose your own reality instead. Last time we racked our brains over a highly complex dilemma. Which is better, to live with misfortune or to happily be eaten alive? No, that wasn't it. Which is better, a charming hippopotamus or a despotic priestess? No, that wasn't it. A hippo, studious and gentle, or a maleficent and always round malevolent priestess? But you know me, I am not really evil. I'm super kind. I could eat you all up myself. I am merciful and good. It is your lot that are miserable and unfortunate. And why? Because it isn't your movie that is playing in your life. It's not just me that doesn't like you. You don't like yourselves, and that's another reason for your ills. Why isn't your movie playing in your life? Because you don't understand that life is a film in the first place. You might know this in principle, but you are not fully aware of it. So I remind you again and again of where you are, my tiresome little ones, until you really get it. In normal life, you are used to watching a film on a screen. Now imagine that you are inside the movie. Feel it. Here, you are at the mercy of the script, but you have a degree of freedom. When you are being fully present, you are capable of carrying out actions that are not foreseen by the current script. You receive a degree of freedom in the moment you wake up. In this moment, you are capable of giving yourself a shake-up and setting up a different film role. Later, you'll be back in the hands of the script again, but if the moment is not lost, your film will start playing in the meantime. The reason you don't like yourself is that all the screens and printed covers illustrate the ideals of beauty, success, and happiness. And you, my faithful ones, are taken in by these illusions, obediently trying to become something else that isn't really you, every time finding that you don't fit the norm. In actual fact, beauty, success, and happiness can never be standardized. They are things with a very individual cut. Still, you prefer to believe in the illusion and try to keep up with it. Have you ever wondered why it is so difficult for you to remake or improve yourself? Have you ever asked yourself why, on so many occasions, you've planned to turn over a new leaf on Monday and never actually managed it? It is because you are lazy? No, it's because you are being led by a script. Why should the script change simply because you have decided to turn over a new leaf? Your desires are your course, but that course is not written into the script and so has no effect on it whatsoever. Have you ever wondered why, when you leave the cinema all inspired, you think, I can do that too? You think, I will become like him or her. Sometimes you even try to emulate them, but you don't become like them in the end. The reason for this is that although you wanted to be like that person, you didn't know about the emulation technique, which we have called imitation, and that the technique does actually work. At least it works when it is carried out correctly. First of all, you have to totally believe that imitation is possible in principle. Is it possible to compose not only reality, but yourself, your own new mannequin? And at the same time, the mannequin will change. By shifting the film roll and the reflection in turn, you will change and become the way you dreamed of seeing yourself. Do you find this hard to believe, my weary ones? This is because you have already tried something similar and it didn't work. You have always tried and failed because you were working in passive mode. In your dreams, you draw yourself in rays of glory, but this is ineffective. As you now know, you have to use the plate. You tried emulating your idols, but you weren't serious about your approach because you thought you could compose the reflection directly. You were not consistent because when you did not see instant results, you decided to give up. It is totally realistic to improve and remake yourself. Only in order to do so, you must listen to your priestess. When you propel yourself from within, you can be amazing. Moving from within, you can become great. And when you move in this way, simultaneously moving your own film, you can transform your entire life into splendor. I envy you. And why am I telling you all this? And now, the integrated propelling, strolling method. 1. Compose a new reality and yourself within it. 2. Pretend that you already live in this reality and have already embodied that new self. 3. And of course, act, create, fan the creator's spark within. This is what we talked about earlier. It is what you are capable of doing inside the film. Propel the forthcoming frame. Propel yourself. Propel yourself from within. Take it all seriously, practice consistently, and for a relatively long period of time. Always. Then, from film roll to film roll, from reflection to reflection, your mannequin and your life will begin to change. You will see change. Of that, there is no doubt. You are perfect. I hope you have understood at least some of this, my dear snails. If you are unhappy and unfortunate, if nobody likes you and nobody needs you, if your situation is desperate and you can see no way out, know that there is a way out. Don't be envious of what you see in others, and don't be discouraged by what you see in yourself. Be like fireflies and propel yourself from within. Don't look at your reality as something that is beyond your control. Instead, compose a new one. Shift your forthcoming reality by using the plate, and shift your current reality by propelling yourself forward using the image you visualize and the reflection technique. You don't like yourselves because you compare yourselves to other people's norms. Beauty, success, and happiness are unique to every individual. It's hard for you to remake yourself because you're being led by the script. Your desires are not written into the script and have no effect upon it. By composing your own reflection, you can change yourself, your mannequin. Propel and stroll, an integrated technique taken seriously, consistently, for always. In the last lesson, we looked at the following idea. Not only can you compose your own reality, you can compose yourself as well, your new mannequin. If you weren't asleep, you would see that this is possible. So what do I mean by this? Let me remind you, you have your own mannequins in the film rolls, which are stored in the Eternity Archive. When you see one of these film rolls in a dream, your consciousness finds your corresponding mannequin, and then it comes to life and starts to move. For as long as you dream this dream, you occupy the body of the dream mannequin as one of your many potential variants. The same thing always happens in physical reality, in the film rolls according to which your everyday life is moving. On each new film roll, your consciousness enters the next version of the mannequin, which then comes to life and becomes you in the current frame. Do you remember I once said that if you look in a mirror while you are dreaming, you might not recognize yourself? You do not just have one mannequin that is characteristic of your being, but a whole bunch of them, i.e., one particular or very specific mannequin for each film roll. In all the films stored nearby, you are pretty much the same and are recognizable as you. In films that are stored far away from the current film roll, you are completely different. It's not about the fact that once you were young and then you aged, or once you were slim and then you put on weight. The mannequin can change right now in a very short period of time. You are capable of changing very quickly, to the point of spectacularly changing your outer appearance. You can also change qualities and skills such as self-confidence, charm, ability to communicate, courage, intelligence, and professionalism. But before I explain how to do this, I want to explain something. Changing yourself doesn't mean judging and rejecting yourself or chucking out the old you. We are talking about self-development, especially if you are one of those rare exceptions who like themselves just the way they are and doesn't particularly feel the need to change. Even if that is the case, you have to keep developing, otherwise you'll go down the slippery slope of deterioration. You have to change yourself without changing your core identity, your principles, beliefs, and philosophy of life. Making yourself a better person doesn't mean compromising your identity. You can work on self-development at the same time as retaining your true self. It's not so much a matter of remaking yourself as kindling the creator's spark. Don't force yourself to conform to the norms of others. Create your own norms so that other snails look to you with envy. You can create your own norms if you accept your own uniqueness. Uniqueness may be all you have, but it is more than enough. Uniqueness is perfect unto itself because there is nothing of its kind anywhere else. How can something which cannot be found anywhere else or in anyone else not be very valuable? It is an advantage which you can either use or chuck to the back of a dusty old cupboard. It is all a matter of choice. However, it is not easy to accept that you are unique, self-sufficient, and perfect just as you are, just as becoming aware that you are inside a motion picture is not easy. You will notice that when there is something about yourself that you categorically dislike, it is almost impossible to convince you that this very thing could become your advantage. For example, from the point of view of accepted norms, something in your appearance, your personality, or manner might be considered a shortcoming. But all shortcomings have one paradoxical aspect. If you accept a shortcoming, it becomes a valuable, individual quality. If you don't accept a shortcoming and battle against it, the shortcoming becomes a flaw. This is exactly how others will perceive it, either as a valuable quality or as a flaw. You are perfect, just as nature and the Creator intended you to be. Perfection is when an individual is embodying their uniqueness and harmony with their true self. Where there is acceptance, harmony will appear. And the opposite is true. Any negation gives rise to disharmony, which everyone notices. So take a good look at your shortcomings before you hurry to get rid of them. Perhaps, if you accept them, they will transform into your unique qualities and become an advantage. Look attentively, without paying any attention to what other people consider normal. Try to relax, at least for a few days, and just accept being you. You'll see for yourself what happens. Perhaps you will end up liking you just the way you are. Of course, you still need to be able to distinguish shortcomings from vices. An obvious vice or weak point that directly harms you, your health and reputation, for example, or that harms others, should be rooted out. Some things are obvious, and there's no need to go into them here. In everything else, it is better to develop your positive qualities than to battle with your shortcomings. Focusing your attention on your shortcomings, including physical ones that cannot be eliminated, only makes them worse. If, however, you can root out a shortcoming via self-development, then you should work on self-improvement, but only on the condition that you actually have the desire to do so. If you don't desire to change it, then don't trouble yourself and concentrate on your finer qualities. Otherwise, your life will become a constant battle. Developing existing qualities is much more effective than rooting out your shortcomings. Developing your finer qualities will, most likely, eclipse your shortcomings or remove them automatically, and then the issue of your shortcomings will fall away of its own accord. The 3 achievements way. You, my little harebrained wits, have no doubt already imagined yourselves as being magnificent. No, I'm the magnificent one here, but you can be too if you are audacious enough to let yourself be so. You decide for yourself the kind of person you want to be. You are more than capable of doing so, and I will teach you how. You will be the happiest and most beautiful of them all. I am Tufti, your priestess. That is the reason I came. You occupy the body of a mannequin as one of your many variations. You have to develop, while retaining your true self, change without betraying your true self. Uniqueness is all you have, and this is enough. A shortcoming should either be rooted out or accepted. When you accept a personal shortcoming, it can turn into a positive quality. Don't battle with your shortcomings. Develop your finer qualities. Before we get into how to compose your own mannequin, I'll explain why this is worth doing, because it's a matter of some importance. Patience, my dears, you will learn all this in good time. There is one universal formula that is 100% reliable. Life will work out if you accept that you are a unique miracle, with all your shortcomings, just as you are, and then decide to enjoy yourself and live the life you have. If you can simply enjoy life, then you, your life, and everything in it will improve automatically. However, it is quite hard to achieve this. Too great a burden of various molds and standards. Conventional norms and limitations have been placed on you since birth. There are 3 concrete actions you must take in order to free yourself from this burden. One thing is certain, You won't remove this burden with the mind. First, don't focus on your shortcomings. Don't allow yourself to dwell on feeling deprived in some way. This is a destructive state. The shortcomings will only become worse, and this will lead to greater deterioration. You have to shift into a different, more constructive state. This will help with the second action. Second, you should have a goal in life, something inspiring that fills you with enthusiasm and benefits you and others. If you feel apathetic about life in general, then you don't have a goal. Or if you look at it from a different perspective, when you have no goal, you feel apathetic about life. When you have no goal, there is nothing to desire. If you experience no sense of striving, there will be no movement in your life. No movement, no energy, no life. So you must find your true goal, your life purpose, and begin moving towards it. Without a life purpose, there is no you. You are simply an empty space. If you haven't yet found a life purpose, the third action will help you to do so. Third, whether you know what your life purpose is or not, you should concentrate on personal development, on remaking yourself. Focus on yourself constantly. Kindle in yourself the creator's spark. Work on self-development and self-improvement. This method delivers 3 achievements instantly. First, you shake off any feelings of being deprived. Second, you find your life purpose. Third, you realize life purpose. Well, what else did you expect? There's no magic wand. There is the plate, though, but you have to work with it. It won't happen while you're laying about on the sofa. As you now know, goals are achieved through triple action. Propel reality, propel yourself from within. Self-development is always a worthy goal and path. Your life purpose on this path will find itself, and once you have found it, there should be no stopping you. Remember, there is either development or deterioration. You mustn't think of self-development as an onerous duty or heavy chore. Quite the opposite. It's much harder to experience stagnation, inactivity, and laziness. Working on yourself is no chore, but pleasant preparation for something even more pleasurable. You get ready when you're going to a party, don't you? Smartening yourself up? Well, today is the party. A one-time preparation won't be enough for what will come tomorrow, in a month's time, or in a year from now. To summarize what has been said, to become magnificent and turn your life into pure magnificence, you have to shift yourself out of a state of stagnation and degradation. The way out is to find your life purpose, your true goal, and then take steps towards it. Your life purpose is your route to self-realization. Without a life purpose, life is nothing more than a mindless existence. Even if you do not yet know what your life purpose is, the Creator's spark that smolders inside you knows, but the spark has to be kindled. By kindling the Creator's spark and working on yourself, you achieve these 3 things. You leave stagnation behind, you find your life purpose, and you realize your life purpose. This is why you need to compose a mannequin as well as your reality. Remember the integrated propel stroll method and what we said about it? Follow this method and everything in your life will right itself. Aside from the issue of your life purpose, there is another good reason to follow this method. Self-development creates movement. I repeat, without movement, there is no energy, and without energy, there can be no life, just a fading of life. To trigger meta power, you need to have sufficient amounts of personal power, energy. When you move, because you are developing yourself, you can receive this energy. No one can know better than you the direction in which you should develop. If you don't have a clear idea yet of what direction you should choose, ask yourself the question and set yourself the goal of developing yourself, and it will come to you. As far as one's life purpose is concerned, there are other details to be taken into account. 1. Follow the call of the heart. Find the things that are meant for you and the things that could have been made specifically for you, things that are right out of the box. 2. Follow your own path, not the footsteps of others. Don't copy the experience of others. Indulge in the luxury of being unique in everything. I could write a whole book on this theme. Yes, you will have to read other books aside from this one. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy, my dear ones, but study diligently. You don't want to stay snails forever, do you? You are brilliant. Did I say that I didn't like you? I was only joking. You are my favorites, my pets. Don't disappoint me, and I won't disappoint you. Don't dwell on feeling deprived in some way. You must find your true goal, your life purpose, and begin moving towards it. Your life purpose is what inspires you and benefits others as well as yourself. You may not know what your life purpose is, but the Creator's spark knows. Kindle it. Self-development helps to shake off stagnation. Find your purpose, realize your purpose. Without movement and development, you will not have the energy to trigger meta power. Do you want to be a better person, improve your physical fitness and appearance, develop skills and talents, or are you too lazy? What do you mean you don't want to? Look at yourselves and the state you're in with your crooked legs, silly horns, round tummies, and hungry mouths. And yet, despite all that, you are perfect because the Creator's spark is present within you. You have to realize your perfection and kindle the spark. In what manner your perfection will manifest all depends on your personality. Whether it will be revealed at all depends on your intentions. Let's say you want to have a beautiful body, transform yourself into a charming personality, pleasant in all respects, or become a high-paid professional in a particular field. Essentially, this means occupying your perfected mannequin on a fundamentally different film role. Have no doubt that this film role and the corresponding mannequin exists. All you have to do is get there. This goal is achieved via triple action. Propel reality, propel yourself from within. Let's look at all three components individually. 1. Propel reality with the help of the plate. Compose a reality in which you already have what you want and already embody the person that you want to become. Compose a new you in a new reality. Literally do this several times during the day or more. Become fully present, activate the plate, and without losing a sense of the plate, picture the scene you desire, the end result, the target frame, with your thoughts and words. Visualize it as best you can. Do the exercise in a relaxed manner for no more than a minute at a time. Remember that it is concentration and meta power that makes this technique work, not effort or force. Don't hold back when you set your goal. Go for it. Think big and set your sights high from the outset. Set yourself a goal that will awaken the genius in you. Become a genius in a specific field or in your general attitude towards life. Then, regardless of your specific abilities, you will start being brilliant. That said, if you have no aptitude at all for something that attracts you, it might be worth considering whether this is, in fact, your true path. But if you are following your heart's desire, and if your goal is basically achievable, then there is no reason why it should not be realized. Beyond that, it all comes down to perseverance and composing a new you in a new reality consistently and coherently. Remember, you have the spark of the Creator within, which you can kindle into a flame and turn into a masterpiece. After some time, you will see that you are beginning to do things you couldn't do before, and that you probably were not even capable of doing. This will surprise you, and yet there is nothing superhuman about it. It is no miracle, just a technique. By setting a reality in which you are brilliant, you move on to film roles in which you do brilliant things. I repeat, the reason for this is not that you have the necessary abilities per se, but because that is the nature of the script. It simply comes down to the fact that on other film roles, you will have things that you don't have currently and haven't even considered. There, in a new mannequin, new abilities will manifest themselves and new means of realizing your ideas can be found. You will spot them as long as you aren't sleeping. 2. Propel yourself. I remind you that to propel yourself in relation to other people means to compose an image. To propel yourself in relation to the reality of your everyday life means to compose a reflection. In a general sense, the act of propelling involves being consciously aware of your motives and actions. When you aren't consciously aware and are just drifting in accordance with the script, all the messages you put out to the mirror that concern other people will be reduced to give me, give me, give me. And those that concern reality will come down to, I want. And yet there comes a point in time when you are able to release yourself from the script. Then you can become fully present and recall the image composition method and the reflection composition method. In relation to other people, replace all your give me's with here take. After persistent practice, this manner will become a habit and start to create an impression. You'll naturally become a very charming personality without having to fake it because your habits make up part of your mannequin. Together with your own transformation, you'll see that the problems that troubled you so much have either solved themselves or simply fallen away. Take a good look at the Setting an Image chapter, and there you'll see that all the give me's and the corresponding here take alternatives. The same thing goes for reality. Whatever happens, you have the method for composing a goal frame, the principles of use, as well as the allowing and following methods. Remember also that all negative thoughts and messages will return to haunt you like a boomerang. Try and turn all the negative signs into plus signs for your own benefit, and then this too will become a habit that makes it part of your new mannequin. What should you do if right now you can't think of anything that you can give or any message you want to put out to the universe? This is where the imitation technique comes in handy. You can transform the reflection into an image or subject by pretending that you already have something you do not currently have, or that you already are the person you would like to be but have not yet become. As the game, so the reality. What you imitate is what you get. Who you fake is who you will become. The reflection flows into an image. We will go into this in more detail in the next chapter. The imitation technique. You are probably beginning to think, dear ones, that with all these methods, you could end up being a clockwork mannequin. Don't worry, my little fidgets. It is better to be a wind-up mannequin with good habits than a puppet of no sound mind. New mannequins are created via triple action: propel reality, propel yourself, propel from within. Use the plate to compose a new you in the new reality. Think big, but make sure your goals are realistic. Soon you'll be doing things that you didn't previously think yourself capable of doing. New abilities appear and develop on new film roles. The ways and means of realizing your idea will automatically present themselves. It can be helpful to repeat the chapters that explain what it means to propel yourself. At the end of our last lesson, we said that the imitation technique will enable you to acquire qualities that you don't yet have. Let's recall the objectives we set. Acquire a beautiful body, transform yourself into a charming personality, pleasant in all regards, and become a highly paid professional. Even though you might not have all this right now, you can fake having it right now. Then, as you already know, reality will find a way of manifesting the illusion you have created on the physical plane. You should literally imagine that you already have all these positive things despite the fact that, so far at least, you're faking it and it's just a game. Observe other people who have these things. Initially, copy how they hold themselves, especially if you don't have your own image of what this might look like. For your draft version, the experience of others will do. Later, your individuality will begin to show itself more strongly. Take note of what you admire in other people, irrespective of whether they work in the same field as you. You can always learn from brilliance. I do such and such just as brilliantly as so-and-so does. Is there something you admire? I want to be able to do the same and can create the same wonderful life for myself. Soak up the finesse that you find so attractive and adapt it to your life as a projection. Declare this intention using the plate. You only need to capture a projection of brilliance rather than trying to copy it in every detail. What is essential is the projection, not the specific form it takes. I want to emphasize that you don't need to copy an entire example, just a person's state, their sense of self and general air. Adopt a state that makes you feel good about yourself. You have a beautiful body. You have a charming personality. You are a highly paid professional. How would you feel if this were the case? What you would feel is the required state you must capture for this exercise. When you have determined the emotional state, behave as if you already had what you were striving for. Create a virtual reality with your thoughts. Illuminate that visualization with the plate from time to time. Recall your vision more frequently. Run it into the background. Be consistent. Even if your physical body and everything else about you is far from being perfect, you can still live the feeling. Fake it. Become accustomed to it. Is this copying? Yes, it is out and out copying, But if your approach is serious and consistent, reality will take it very seriously indeed. Reality will not tolerate an illusion that is not of its own making, so the illusions that you create will either be manifest in the physical plane or destroyed. Don't worry, my darlings, the latter is highly unlikely, as long as you don't go looking for trouble to push things too far. Even children know that a game is a game and keep within the limits of what is real. You will easily sense the limits of reality in your own game. Playing the role of a charming personality is totally within your capacity, especially when you are equipped with the image composition method. You naturally won't be able to take the stage at a ballet or walk out onto a hockey pitch and behave like a professional if you've never done it before, because you have not yet reached the necessary film role. However, your imitation game will be no less effective because of it, all in good time. This is what the third action is for. 3. Propel yourself. It is important to be realistic and understand that sofa metaphysics alone are not enough. We live in a dual world, so you have to take action equivalent to the material plane. Do everything you can to achieve your goal within the current frame and shape your new self. You need to improve yourself not only with the help of the plate, but also physically by means of concrete exercises, study, steps to improve your diet, and lifestyle. There is nothing you can do to change this requirement. Once you embark on the path of self-improvement, you will know what to do and how. The information will find its way to you. It is also particularly important to be aware that on the path of self-development, your life purpose will be revealed to you. You can puzzle over questions such as what your life purpose is, what it will involve, and how to find it as much as you like. But once you set the goal to propel yourself, rather than to be directed entirely by the script, the answers to all these questions will appear organically. There's no need to worry about the ways and means of realizing your life purpose either. You can't imagine what the ways and means will be because they lie on other film roles that you still need to reach. There is no doubt that you will reach them if you initiate all 3 types of action. You have a huge advantage because your competitors usually only use one type of action, the third. Many put a huge amount of effort into this, but to no great effect. Which works most effectively, the first, second, or third action? It all depends. On average, they are all roughly equally effective, but if you integrate all 3 rather than practicing them individually, the results are 100% guaranteed. In any case, the triple action writes the course your reality is taking, and things sort themselves out in all areas of your life. How much time will it take? The answer is forever, because as you know, in life, there is always either development or deterioration. Thought forms. You, my boring ones, probably don't quite understand what the difference is between composing a new reality and composing a new self. For in both cases, you compose new film roles and new mannequins. You will understand soon, though. Take note of what you admire in other people. Adopt their general state and sense of self as a projection. In this state, behave as you would as if you already had what you strive for. Live in this state, live the feeling, grow accustomed to it. Along with the metaphysical work, create yourself on the physical plane too. Do whatever is required to achieve your goal in the current frame. Once on the path to self-development, the answers to all your questions will come to you. By composing an image of a new reality, you illuminate the forthcoming frame. Here, reality works like a film roll. By imitating an example of your new mannequin, you compose a reflection, which then flows into an image of the subject. In this case, reality works like a mirror. Both the image composition and the imitation process should be carried out using the plate. Only reality should be composed purposefully by setting aside special time several times a day, although without letting it become a burden. In imitation, you live it, fake it, play with it, feel your way into the new role at the same time as taking a serious approach and being consistent. It does not matter too much if you forget sometimes about the plate. The most important thing is that you live the role, just as actors do prior to a film shoot. When you're doing this, be open to allow in information concerning your new mannequin and new reality, and try yourself out in this new role, as far as circumstances will allow, as well as in your thoughts and visualizations. You may find certain types of mental constructs supportive, i.e., thought forms, which you should repeat to yourself as often as possible. For example, I am a high-ranking specialist unique in my field. My services are in great demand. I derive much pleasure from my work. My contribution is highly valued. I do everything brilliantly. I don't go out for work. I focus on the home, the family, and the children. As a wife and mother, I am one in a million. My husband is in love with me. The children adore me. I also love them and take care of them. The atmosphere in our home is cozy and joyful. I cheer everyone up. I am in perfect health. I have a strong, toned, sexy body. It doesn't matter how old I am. I have the body of a 20-year-old, and I always will have. I will always be 20 because that is what I have decided. I feel amazing. I have high levels of vitality and a powerful energy field. I am a very charming individual. There is a certain metaphysical glow about me. People sense it and are drawn to me. I have my own individual charm. I am generally a very attractive and charismatic person. Everyone enjoys my company. I bring with me a feeling of joy and celebration. People are drawn to me. Everyone likes me. You can write thought forms like this to suit your taste and mood. Activate the plate and say them aloud or to yourself. It doesn't matter which. At the same time, try to behave in a way that correlates to the affirmations, even though you are still aware that it is a game, albeit a serious one. At the same time, work on yourself and achieve conformity with your vision on the physical plane. Total success is achieved via triple action. Qualities like charm, wit, intelligence, confidence, and genius are relatively easy to manifest with just the first two types of action. When it comes to physical attributes, things are a little more complicated. Here you have to focus on the third type of action. It is worth remembering that physical attractiveness largely depends on the inner qualities, which you consider shortcomings that gnaw away at you. Inferiority complexes leave a very noticeable imprint on a person's face and figure. With the acquisition of certain values, the complex will fall away and you will change so much that people will stop recognizing you. Even in the case of physical limitations, the body of your mannequin can be significantly improved. Or rather, it will become a different mannequin, which you need to occupy. Everything is possible with due perseverance, including reversing the aging process. Certain physical qualities are built into your DNA, but far from everything. DNA cannot hold so much information that it defines all the subtle details of your portrait. Your DNA only determines your main characteristics, those that determine whether you are a human being or a snail, as well as the basic qualities that distinguish you from others like you. It would be more accurate to say that the information contained within your DNA is barely enough to describe your embryo. So where is all the rest? For official science, the rest remains a mystery as mainstream science does not want to accept the existence of the information space, which we call the eternity archive. There is much that science cannot embrace because it has taken upon itself the heavy responsibility of explaining everything from a scientific point of view. And what science is incapable of explaining, it neither negates nor ignores. However, things unexplained do not cease to exist. So a significant portion of the information for your design is contained in that very information space, and you can correct the design in question. You will learn how to do this, my dears. Thought markers. Admit it, you envy me for being so marvelous and incomparable, while you are absurd and awkward. You may envy me, but I won't allow you to envy others. Work on yourself. By setting yourself a new reality, you use an aspect of the film roll. Imitating a new mannequin, you use an aspect of the mirror. In both cases, activate the plate and declare your thought forms. Let new information in and start living your new role. At the same time, work on yourself and conform to your vision on the physical plane. Physical attributes can be significantly improved via triple action. Before explaining how to correct the design according to which you developed after undergoing the embryonic stage, we will digress slightly. As far as I remember, I called you to invent your own thought forms, according to your own taste and mood. In truth, your mind is not capable of inventing anything new, that is, literally construct something new totally independently. It can only read information by managing its awareness. Have you forgotten who you are? You are film characters. The brain has three main functions. The first two involve perceiving your environment and interpreting it. The third is less well known and involves the settings for the memory, one's thinking and condition. The brain does not generate thoughts or store memories. It works similarly to a radio or a TV set. When you remember something, the brain attunes to an information block situated in the eternity archive. When you think about something, it also attunes, scans the information, and in this way, creates from it a flow, which manifests as a train of thought. Thoughts and memories are not stored inside the brain. They are stored outside the brain, where you would expect information to be, in the information space. Condition is something slightly more interesting still. This is the feeling you have of yourself as you were when you were created by nature, or rather in accordance with the design. If you reconcile yourself to the fact and accept whatever has been given you by nature, then this is how you will remain. Alternatively, you can change, for the better or for worse. Here, both the course of your strivings and society have an impact. Depending on personal characteristics and life circumstances, you may either consider yourself to be a good-looking, fortunate soul or an ugly loser. This is what is meant by your condition. Whenever your sense of self is aligned with one feeling or the other, your condition synchronizes with the design. And if there is a mismatch, the design corrects itself, one way or the other. So regardless of the initial parameters of the design, you can turn from a darling of Lady Luck into a very unsympathetic brat, or the opposite, transformed from an ugly duckling into an all-around favorite. Now here's a question. Is it possible to control the synchronization process? You probably already know the answer to that. The characters who lack awareness drift along with the script, relying on a random, it'll either work out or it won't, I'll be lucky or I won't, helplessly floundering in the current frame. In this case, synchronization occurs automatically, unprompted by the character. And then the lucky one becomes a star, and the one whom things didn't work out for slips down a slippery slope into a hole. You, my favorites, not only create your own new reality, you create yourself anew, remake yourself, attuning to the new you, which means that you intentionally acquire a new condition. But this is not the same thing as synchronization. In the moment you declare your thought form, you compose a new reality, which has not yet become manifest. Even after practicing the imitation technique, you still don't fully enter into the necessary condition. So what happens next? Next, you shift onto new film rolls, occupy new mannequins, and see real progress with your own eyes. You will undoubtedly see progress, and then you will say to yourself, this does actually work. And then you will genuinely acquire a new state of being. When you achieve this new state of being, your thought forms will be transformed into thought markers. It turns out that I compose my own reality. My intention really works. I really am occupying a new mannequin. Thought markers state that such and such a thing is actually happening. The statement of it confirms the thing as fact. Unlike thought forms, thought markers serve as bookmarks, descriptions of something that has already happened and no longer requires proof. Thought forms, on the other hand, are affirmations that strive to prove their validity. The desire to prove something to yourself or others is always unconvincing. Whether you wish to convince yourself or reality, both attempts are ineffective. You can pretend, but you won't ever be able to convince yourself of something that has not yet happened in physical reality. Positive affirmations will never carry you into a pure condition that exists beyond a shred of a doubt. The only thing that is totally effective is confirmation. Thought markers refer to things that are already confirmed. Of course, thought forms as affirmations also have an impact on the design, but a weaker impact, because synchronization only occurs in the moment that you can come face to face with the reality of a situation as fact. Thought forms are effective at the initial stage, when a new reality is being launched. Then, when you start to see the first results in your progress, pay special attention to them and again, use the plate and state that your efforts are really working. In this moment, you come into contact with outer intention and, in this moment, synchronization occurs with the design. Thought forms compose reality. Thought markers adjust the design. So carry out all three types of action, observe the shifts, and then consolidate them with thought markers. Every day, I get closer to achieving my goal. I really do manage everything brilliantly. My level of professionalism is growing. I really am getting physically fitter. I really am becoming a more charming and attractive person. Greedy catchers. The theme of the previous lesson was quite complicated. Would you like to consolidate what we covered? What do you mean you don't want to? Come on, crawl out of your houses. Everyone, horns up, or you will be punished. The mind does not invent anything. It reads information from the eternity archive. There are three main functions of the brain: perception, interpretation, setting. The brain works as a receiver, attuning to memory, thought, and condition. Condition refers to your sense of self, as you really are, in all your subtle details. Condition does not refer to changing moods. It refers to your sense of self. The design, similarity to your condition, can change for the better or the worse. In moments of awareness, your condition synchronizes with the design. Regardless of the initial design, you can take off and fly or slide down a slippery slope. Carrying out the triple action, you shift yourself into a new condition. Imitation becomes genuine when you observe results. Thought markers confirm that improvements are taking place. Thought forms trigger a new reality. Thought markers adjust the design. Do you remember I mentioned previously that when you practice the imitation technique, you create an illusion for reality? I'll repeat this point now. If there is something you want, pretend you already have it. If there is someone you want to become, behave as if you were already that person. Be in the role, take it seriously, and live it like a professional actor. Live it in your thoughts, in virtual space, and where possible, in your actions, in your everyday reality, until you totally believe in the illusion you have created. As soon as you believe in it, reality will believe in it too. When will you believe it? When you see a tangible proof that the technique really works. This is why I so strongly recommend that you always pay special attention to any shifts you notice taking place. As soon as you spot a change, immediately activate the plate and savor your achievements, taking pleasure in all the details. And then, how does the miracle happen? Your design is adjusted. You become a little, or perhaps very, different. It is the same as if you were occupying a new body in a new outfit. If you regularly perform all three actions, you will gradually shift to ever higher levels. And now for the method, my little boring ones, again and again, the synchronization method. 1. Carry out all three actions, either separately or simultaneously, whichever you prefer. 2. Observe carefully and avidly grasp any confirmation of your success. 3. As soon as you see a sign of success, activate the plate and consolidate the shift with a thought marker. Positive shifts will occur both in the context of the manifestation of your vision as well as in relation to the means by which it is being realized. Reality will throw your potential means of realizing your vision and encourage you to use them. There will also be moments of defeat. These are unavoidable. What matters is how you respond to them. When you suffer defeat, your condition changes and you feel a failure. And what happens to the design in this moment? I hate to think. On no account must you let this type of synchronization occur. So how do you avoid it? It is very simple. Surely you haven't forgotten the wonderful principle you have at your disposal: advantage. You probably haven't yet eradicated your stupid habit of insisting on your own script. Well, hang in there. Otherwise, I'll eradicate you myself. Or better still, I'll immortalize you in jars of formaldehyde and show you off to my other students. Not for the self-edification, you understand, but for inspiration. They will become instantly more clever and obedient. And on the other hand, if you have been lucky enough to secure a victory, nurture and savor your condition carefully, not forgetting the plate. Have no doubt your design will adjust itself and things will develop in a more positive manner. You must be very attentive and responsible when it comes to your condition. Manage it. And also, I remember saying that if you set the right goal, the script might even shock you. You might feel that your life is falling apart at the seams, whereas in actual fact, old stuff is being cleared from your reality so that the empty space can be filled with beautiful new things. And anyway, how can you know by what means your goal should be best realized? It might seem to you as if nothing is going right, whereas in fact, everything is going perfectly, just not in the way you planned it. And anyway, whoever promised that your path would be strewn with roses? And you mustn't let the fact that you aren't seeing instant results worry you either. Take into account the fact that reality responds with a delay factor. Be patient, be persistent, and consistent. If nothing is working out at all and you feel as if you are knocking at a door that will never open, then you should ask yourself whether this is really your true path and the path of your heart's desire. The only path that will never let you down is the path of self-development. Not any path, of course, such as studying ancient Greek, but the path that will inspire you and bear real fruit. And one more thing, you can only compose your new self by using the reality mirror and the plate. Don't try and compose your new mannequin while looking in a normal mirror. I forbid you to try it. It either won't work or it will have the opposite effect. When you stand in front of a flat mirror, you can only note positive developments while ignoring your shortcomings. You mustn't focus your attention on the shortcomings you'd like to be shot of. Shortcomings should either be eradicated through self-improvement or accepted as an aspect of your individuality. If you can't do anything about them, then let them be. Sweet harmony. Yes, I know. When it comes to laudatory, captivating speeches addressed to my highest self, you lot are churlish, indeed most churlish misers, and of my success you are greedy. Indeed, most greedy Scrooges, and so you are. But not to worry, I shan't be in your debt. I will store a bitter grudge against you, and when I have saved up enough, I shall settle the score. Pay special attention to positive shifts. The design is adjusted in the moment you consolidate the shift with a thought marker. Greedily catch hold of any confirmation of your success. Savor them, enjoy them. Confirmation of results will carry you into a pure condition. Regular, systematic practice of the 3 actions will perfect your design. You mustn't look at failure and see failure, or look at defeat and see defeat. The path of self-development is the only path that will never let you down. Either you manage your condition, or your condition manages you. This final point is extremely important. I hope you understand the significance of the meaning. You must be very attentive and responsible when it comes to your condition. Manage it, because firstly, it is the key to your design, and secondly, there is something else of which we shall speak now. Just because you have woken up in a film doesn't make you invulnerable. Because you are in a film, anything that happens in the film can also happen to you. You awakening does not change the film. Your task is to create a film in which everything works out favorably for you. If, however, something unfavorable does happen, you still have one fail-safe fallback principle: advantage. In addition to applying the advantage method to situations that have already taken place, you can also create advantage from events that have not yet occurred. I will not bore you now with yet another method. The principle here is simple. If it works out, then great, and if it doesn't, even better. This applies to events that are so important to you. That the very importance you attribute to them hinders their smooth, successful implementation, such that even the plate cannot rescue you. And since this is the case, declare beforehand that whatever outcome the event may have, it will be advantageous to you and therefore successful. This reduces the intensity of the importance you attribute to the event, and it will also lift your mood. Anyway, you don't really know, do you, exactly what turn of events in the script will work out in your favor. We have already discussed this before. Although constantly composing a film role in which everything turns out favorably for you is a beneficial habit, sometimes it can feel tiring and a bit full-on. So what does this mean? You can't ever relax now? You can. Along with all the principles we have covered thus far, there is another aspect of reality worth considering: the weather at home. Or, in other words, the atmosphere of the current film strip. We are not talking about the weather as such, rather the general condition of reality, which may be aggressive or harmonious, and which is personal to you because everyone else is living in relatively different conditions. Everyone has their own weather. For example, in one and the same geographic area, you may have a blue lagoon, while someone else has an icy desert. So the weather in your current reality is determined by your condition. By condition here, we mean not only the type of condition we talked about very recently, but your state of mind and mood, as well as your attitude to everything around you. Both your condition in particular and the condition of your reality can be expressed in one general term: sweet harmony. The sweetness in this term is nothing to do with marmalade. Obviously, this word in particular has many meanings. Above all, the term refers to harmony in the sense that all shall be well. It also refers to pleasure and delight, the sweet life. To get along sweetly means to live in peace and harmony. Sweet harmony is when the world is at peace, there is order and prosperity in your life, and all is well. Sweet can also mean my sweet or my love. If you love life, life will overflow with sweet harmony. If you love yourself, life will be filled with delight. And if you don't love yourself, create harmony and you will begin to love yourself. Do you remember the law? If you allow yourself to be guided by the principle of advantage, there will be fewer and fewer events in your life that are in some way harmful. There will be harmony, but life is even better if you can create sweet harmony intentionally, i.e., attune yourself to a corresponding state. There was a reason why I advised you to copy the general air and sense of self of the people you look to as role models. This is not only the key to your perfect design, but also the things that create attraction. What is it about your role models that attracts you? No doubt a very positive manner that life is good, success, style, beauty, charm, and pleasure. Pleasure is the first thing that people seek. People are drawn to those who radiate happiness, and by and large, they are all drawn to sweet harmony. And what else is drawn to sweet harmony? Reality. Reality loves sweet harmony too, and becomes harmonious around people and for people who radiate the same. Dissatisfaction, irritation, hostility, and similar attitudes do the exact opposite. They repel others and make reality frown. What should we conclude from this? Try and maintain a condition of sweet harmony. Look for pleasure in small things, and there you will find it. Use any excuse to create a special occasion, and life will be one continual celebration. Create a light, sunny atmosphere both within yourself and around you. Merely expressing a benevolent attitude towards others is enough to evoke their goodwill towards you, and a benevolent attitude towards your reality, whatever the circumstances, will evoke the goodwill of reality itself. Deliberately create a positive atmosphere. Make this a habit. This is probably the most beneficial habit of all those we have covered. Radiating happiness, love, comfort, and joy, more specifically, sweet harmony, you attract people in a successful reality also. For everyone wants the same thing. People are drawn to those with good fortune, those who know how to create the sweet life. You look at the screens and the magazine covers and you see people who are super successful, comfortable, beautiful, and happy. It's enough to make you sick, and you think when you compare yourself to them that your life has not worked out as it should. But believe me, all that showy beauty and happiness is, for the large part, all down to props and bluffs. What's more, now you know how to create real, genuine sweet harmony, and most importantly, you are capable of doing so. All right? Am I right? Of course I'm right, for I am Tufti, your priestess. Plait with threads. So, my gracious ones, I hope you have understood that sweet harmony is when all is well, and as it should be. Sweet harmony occurs not only when everything is truly well and as it should be, but when you deliberately adopt a state of sweet harmony, whatever is going on, and then all is well indeed. It is like having the ability to change the weather. Set the advantage in advance. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, even better. The weather in your current reality depends directly on your condition. Sweet harmony means fun, comfort, love, friendliness, and celebration. People are drawn to fortunate others who know how to radiate sweet harmony. Reality becomes supportive to those who radiate sweet harmony. Stay in control of your own state of mind. Do not just let it free run. Letting your state of mind free run is paramount to hanging like a cloth puppet in someone else's hands and dangling about to the will of chance or the will of another. Create your own personal sweet harmony. Bring light into any company. Create your own oasis in the frame, the oasis of a happy, celebratory mood. My oasis comes with me. Wherever I am, my oasis is there with me. Begin the day with the words, sweet harmony. Always make a point of getting into this state, whatever the circumstances. Just sweet harmony. That's all. If you are feeling annoyed or overcome with fear or anger, don't fight the emotions, just begin observing. Anything amiss that is happening should nudge you to observe what is going on in your life and your reality. When you look at fear under a magnifying glass, paradoxically, it gets smaller. When you observe reality, it loses its power. Reality doesn't like being watched. It becomes elusive and at the same time ceases to have so much control over you. Don't stare at reality, just take a sideways glance so that it does not get annoyed at you. Finally, I want to give you a bit more detail about the plate. Firstly, don't be too perplexed if you can't feel the plate or only get a very vague sense of it. All these sensations are very personal, and that's quite normal. For example, my friend Matilda does not sense a plate, but rather a slight feeling of oppression from behind, and a kind of presence of something non-corporeal and phantom-like. This sense of presence can manifest itself in different ways. It might be something you can actually feel, but if you have to imagine it, that's fine too. Imagine that someone has attached a hard, straight plate to the back of your head. You shake your head, feel that the plate is there, and then remove it. Although the plate is no longer there, the sense that it was there a moment ago remains with you. This is what is described as a phantom sensation. If the phantom feeling doesn't work for you, it's not a problem. Try the following technique instead. Imagine that an arrow or compass needle is hanging down from the nape of your neck to the middle of your back. Then take an in-breath, and when you exhale, imagine that the arrow has turned so that it is now at an angle to your back. If you experience the phantom sensation, you can use this technique to activate the plate. It doesn't matter what angle the arrow is exactly or how much distance there is between the arrow and your spine. Your energy body will tell you how far the arrow should be from your back for it to become active. Even if you activate the plate without the arrow, simply focus your attention on a certain spot at roughly an elbow's distance or less from the middle of your shoulders, and that should be enough. With time, after a certain amount of practice, you will learn to feel the plate quite tangibly. The plate also needs training. It has atrophied from lack of use. And now for another technique for advanced snails that makes the plate even more effective. Imagine that a flow of energy is rising up the central axis of your body. Take an in-breath and observe a certain sensation rising from your feet up to your head. Next, imagine the reverse flow from the top of your head down. Exhale and track the downward sensation. Practice this several times. On the in-breath, the flow rises upwards. On the out-breath, the flow moves downwards. The sensations may be phantom-like, but the energy flow is absolutely real. It's just that until you really practice it, you may not be aware of it. Now imagine that two arrows protrude from your chest in opposite directions, from the chest or from the stomach, outwards, and from between the shoulders or lower and backwards. Take an in-breath, and then on the out-breath, imagine that the arrow in front is turning into an upward vertical position, and the arrow behind you is turning into a vertical position pointing downwards. Try to sense both energy currents as they flow simultaneously. The rising current, triggered by the frontal arrow, moves along the whole body just a little forward of the central axis, while the descending current, triggered by the arrow behind the back, also flows along the length of the whole body slightly beyond the axis. Or simply imagine that they both move simultaneously, one upwards and the other downwards, without any specific positioning, depending on which is easier for you to feel. Repeat this exercise several times so that you really start to feel the energy flow in the body. Then, on an out-breath, try and trigger both energy flows at the same time, without picturing the arrows. Then activate the plate, like you did using arrow from the nape of the neck. Breathe a little, and then on the out-breath, move it sharply downwards into a vertical position, at the same time triggering both energy currents. You should get the hang of it after just a little practice. Again, just as you work with the plate without tension, do the same with the currents. You just trigger the energy flow, but it moves of its own accord. Simply get the energy going and then let the flow continue moving through the body of its own accord. And now the plate and flow method. 1. Take an in-breath, and on the out-breath, imagine the arrow moving at any angle away from your back. Now the plate is activated. 2. Without letting go of the sensation of the plate, compose a picture of your reality. At the same time, make sure that you are breathing freely. 3. Without losing the sense of the plate, the arrow, take an in-breath, and on the out-breath, sharply send the arrow into a vertical downward position, triggering both energy flows. Staying aware of the movement of the rising and descending energy flows, say the following thought form quietly to yourself or aloud. 4. My intention is being realized. 5. Then let go of all the sensations you have been working with. What is happening when you do this? You are not only composing your own reality with the help of the plate, you are putting out or sending your intention as a message to the universe. In this way, the energy flow strengthens the work of the plate. If this technique works for you and you enjoy it, you can use this variation of the exercise all the time. But if not, then the basic method will be sufficient. Another effective way of using the plate is to work with it while you are in the bath or any other source of water. For example, make the most of the time that you are in the bath. Activate the plate. The walls of the bath hinder this exercise without the energy currents, and compose a picture of your own reality and or yourself, your new mannequin. You don't have to try too hard. It is enough to concentrate for 2 or 3 minutes in total and then drop the plate and just relax in the bath for another 10 minutes. What is the point of this? In this case, the plate is working as well as the water, which, as we know, is readily charged with the information content of your thought forms, as well as thought markers, obviously. The water does not send your intention out into the universe. In this case, its function is different. First, the water absorbs the information you are giving it. Then it literally imprints your subtle energy body with the same information. Water is highly effective in fulfilling this function. When you are immersed in water, you can be totally charged or imprinted with your intention. And then you walk around like a living radio station, broadcasting it throughout the atmosphere. If you don't have a bath, there is another option you can use, the contrast shower. At first, spend a couple of minutes warming up in hot, but not too hot water, and turn on the cold water for no more than 5 minutes. Repeat the same 3 or 4 times. The greater the contrast in temperatures, the better, but more important than that, you shouldn't experience extreme discomfort and damage your health. Postpone working with the plate when doing this procedure because it will be harder to concentrate than when you were in the bath. A contrast shower, however, dramatically increases your energy flow. So for this reason, when you turn off the water, be calm, focus, and then practice the plate and flow method. This is also a very effective technique. That's it. It's all very simple. The plate isn't a gadget that you can or can't afford to purchase. You already have it, and you always will. And of course, no super gadget can give you what the plate will. Nonetheless, use it intentionally and purposefully. Don't chat with it unnecessarily. The power of past incarnations. So then, my darlings, we won't consolidate what we have covered anymore. For you, from now on, repetition will take the form of rereading this book, perhaps more than once, because even having carried out the recommended practices, you couldn't have understood or remembered everything the first time around. And all the more so if you didn't actually try out the techniques while you were reading the book. I have been there. I know. With each new reading, you will surprise yourself as you discover something new, as if you were reading the book for the first time. Try to reread this material at least once and discover this for yourself. The last thing I want to tell you is something of which you won't suspect. Like, for example, you were not aware of the existence of the plate, your birthright. As you know now, you have the right to compose your forthcoming reality and even a new mannequin. But there is something more. You have the right to personal power, accumulated over the course of your past life incarnations. What is the meaning of life in principle? Life itself. Only this, and aside from this, there is no other deep philosophical meaning. What is the meaning of the existence of the planet or a single grain of sand? There is none. They simply are. That's all. There is no fundamental difference between the meaning of the existence of the living and the non-living. The meaning lies simply in that these things all are. And glory be to the Creator. So what is the meaning of successive incarnations? The answer is also nothing. Well, almost nothing. Every subsequent life, from the birth and death of a butterfly to the birth and death of the universe, is the dream of the Creator, whose spark is present in all things. In the same way, every one of your lives is nothing more than the dream of the Creator, tantamount to your own dream, of course. While this can only be known to the Creator. So what can be known to us? We ought to know what we are capable of and what we are entitled to do. This knowledge, however, is not given to all, only to those who seek it. If you have no desire to know anything about these things, then live however you see fit. The meaning of life is in life itself, and life is enough. The value, just as the meaning of all things in existence, is equal. Your life is no more valuable than the life of a snail, which you might squash underfoot without even noticing. Of course, I was exaggerating when I called you snails and freaks, but not without good reason. The question is whether what you know and what you have been given is enough for you. If it is enough, then that is all well and good. Everyone has the right to live their life without questioning things. None could blame a snail for living as a normal, non-conscious being because a snail is non-conscious by its very nature. But is it blameless, and can it really be laudable to live like a non-conscious character when one is endowed with a capacity for self-awareness? That is the question. Of course, none of that refers to you, my dear ones. Since you are already reading this book, you are one of those people who are not satisfied with what is commonly known and what has been given to you. You cannot imagine what prominent and perhaps even great people you once were in your previous incarnations. Undoubtedly, you were great. Otherwise, you would not have earned this life. But regardless of any former greatness, all that now has been wasted and lost. You do not remember your former incarnations. Do you not think that strange? Again, one might ask the question, what is the point of these past lives? There were failures and defeats, victories and achievements. You have paid for much and accomplished much. Has all that really been for nothing? Simply in vain? You cannot bring back the experience of forgotten lives, just as you cannot take with you something you possess in a forgotten dream. Still, I repeat, you have a right to the personal power accumulated over the course of numerous incarnations. No one has told you this before, but I am telling you now. Personal power and strength of soul should not be wasted. A new life should never begin entirely from scratch. That would be a mistake, a glitch in creation. Whether you accept it and live with the mistake is a matter of will. Only what good are you to anyone as a defective being? You are no good even to me. It is within your power to claim what is rightfully yours. But how? It is very simple. Anyone who declares their right is given it. You literally need to say, I declare my right. I return my power. I acquire the power of all my previous incarnations. Words, however, are not enough. Words are so often empty talk. There's one subtle detail here. For your words to be heard, you have to use that archaic rudiment of which you are already aware, the plate. Make your declaration using the plate, just as you did when you were composing your own reality, and power will hear you. Do this whenever you feel it is necessary. You will soon gradually come to sense an increase in your personal power, self-confidence, and strength of spirit. You will definitely feel it, and every time you do feel confirmation that it is working, do not forget to consolidate your renewed design with thought markers such as, I can see that my personal power is increasing. There is nothing more to add here. You will see for yourself how amazing it is. Infinity in infinity. And now we will talk about something which many an inquisitive mind will skeptically await. Proof that everything we have talked about here is real. Surely we don't really live in a film, and surely we can't jump from one film roll to another. Well, first of all, the main proof should lie in your own empirical experience. The methods and techniques described here really work. Check it out for yourself. And secondly, much indirect proof, particularly indirect proof, can be found in the form of anomalous and unexplained phenomena. You won't find direct proof that these techniques work because, for some reason, reality is not prone to revealing its secrets. How is it, you may be wondering, that I know all about these methods? There's much I do not know. What I do know is that this stuff works, and that's a fact. Why and how exactly is another question. Film rolls and the mirror are just models and interpretation of something more complex. We may not understand how exactly reality works, but we can and should use the qualities of reality for our own practical purposes. And so for this reason, I put forward these models and interpretations that are accessible to our understanding. There is one thing I can confidently confirm. If the model works, then it must be very close to the original. Therefore, we will stick to the accepted model. Reality is live, not virtual. Don't confuse it with a computer game. But it is constructed similarly to a film, or more precisely, numerous film rolls that are all intertwined. Some of these film rolls are moving while others are still in the archive. Parallel material worlds don't exist. There is only one material universe, in any case, the one that is ours. But there are countless virtual variations of the world. The archive film rolls. It sometimes happens that a piece of one archival film strip is randomly illuminated in the current material frame. In this case, a person from the past, the future, or another civilization entirely could end up here in the present. When a person ends up here in our world from the archive, their last life will seem very real to them because their memory is so tied to the film roll from whence they came. The brain does not store information. It stores the information's address. When moving from one film roll to another, addresses can become detached from the former film roll and become attached to the new one, although this is not always the case. This accounts for the déjà vu effect. The déjà vu effect is when you are certain that something has already happened in your life, but everyone around you insists that it has not. Or the opposite. People tell you that something happened, but you can't for the life of you remember it. Not because you are having a memory glitch, but because there is confusion between the addresses and the film rolls. Reality does sometimes make mistakes like these. Although reality does try very carefully to sift out similar absurdities, it does not always manage it. The so-called Mandela effect is an even greater blunder than a déjà vu and can't be put down to the memory glitch of a single individual. This is when a very large group of people, literally millions, collectively misremember something in the current reality, for which there is no factual confirmation. For example, many remember with all clarity that a certain phrase was spoken in such and such a film, and yet now that phrase has disappeared somewhere or been replaced and there is no record of it on any medium, even in the very earliest sources. There are numerous examples like this one, and not only in connection with films. What can account for this? Mass confusion? Why does this happen? The answer is simply that our general reality has shifted to a different film roll in which there is a different version of that particular phrase. Reality accepts an unacceptable mistake. The past is changed without the address in the collective memory being corrected. The collective distinctly remembers what was on the previous film because their addresses are still connected to it. Here we should qualify this by saying that until now we have been talking about individual film rolls, whereas in fact, the general film of reality is constructed in a much more complex manner. The individual film rolls of individual people turn separately, but they lie on a collective roll common to all humanity. The end of the world will affect us all, right? This has been predicted so many times, and yet it has still not happened. As seers perceive it, this version of reality must exist somewhere in the archive, but for now, the collective human reality jumps onto another, more fortuitous roll before the event can actually take place. It can also be the case that the present enters the past. For example, the following is a well-documented fact. On 14th July, 1911, a passenger train departed from Rome on its way to Lombardy, and when on the way it entered a mountain tunnel, it disappeared without trace. At that time, more precisely an even earlier time, the Mexican newspapers of 1840 paid witness to an unusual occurrence. 104 Italians equipped with passports and attributes fitting to the period arrived in Mexico, insisting they had come from Rome by train. Of course, nobody believed them, and they could think of nothing better than to hide them away on a psychiatric ward. What happened to the reality of the missing Italians? Well, as we've already said, reality is something that never was, never will be, and only is, once and now. And so it is. This case does not change anything because reality is always the current frame. But if this kind of anomaly occurs and different film rolls intersect somehow, and they can and do completely at random, then a frame from the future may end up in a film roll from the past. Then, people and objects from that film roll appear in the past. But how can this be? The frame is moving consistently, one frame after the other. How can people who are born in the present die in the past, which also moves in a specific sequence? Initially, the first frame ran in which the people disappeared. Then the second frame ran in which they reappeared. Whereas, in fact, the latter frame came first and the former frame ran second. It is just that the film rolls of the future and the past were mixed up, causing some kind of aberration of perception that we are unaccustomed to and which remains incomprehensible despite all our attempts at an explanation. However, there are also documented facts concerning people from the past who have turned up in the present with all their belongings right down to the contents of their pockets. There have also been cases in which archaeologists have found artifacts in their excavations that were produced recently, or perhaps in an as-yet unknown future. Here, again, the film rolls have gotten mixed up and are intersecting. Sometimes, the film rolls do not so much intersect as just touch alongside each other. That is when you get a chronomirage. Neither people nor objects time travel literally as material objects in space. They might not exist in reality at all, either the present or the past, but they can materialize anywhere and at any time if their film roll falls into the current frame of this place and time. Material reality is the current illuminated frame. Reality itself is a multitude of film rolls. This is what needs to be understood. These anomalies do not prove anything, but they do serve as indirect confirmation that reality is an infinite space made of variations of different film rolls. Moreover, it follows that not only the quanta of the microcosm are discrete, but all of reality, because the film rolls consist of frames separated at intervals from one another. If science would accept that the macrocosm as well as the microcosm was quantum, all sorts of new discoveries would be made. For example, instantaneous movement through time and space, as well as other anomalies, occur in the spaces between frames. All the practices we have covered confirm that all reality is discrete rather than continuous. Freeing yourself from the frame frequency of the current film roll, you acquire the ability to create the impossible. Literally, all these procedures with attention and the plate take you out of the frequency and phases of reality. And in this sense, you acquire the ability to stroll freely through a film. One may suppose that the Eternity Archive did not appear instantly either, but rather evolved over time. Everything that was or that could have been was not always recorded, although one could also maintain that the archive has always existed. Only then one has to delve into philosophy and determine the semantics of the word always. What does always mean? Does anyone know? Evolution is, in a certain sense, a process of producing information. Both living and non-living nature evolves, develops, and simultaneously produces information about itself concerning the variance of its existence. The evolution of the web is a good analogy. Visitors type in their information, and the data accumulates. The film archive is not a comprehensive, totally infinite information field, which has always existed in relation to everything, but rather, let's say, a part of infinity, which moves and grows like a huge construct, which is also infinite. It moves and grows within infinity. It's infinity as a part of infinity. Can you imagine such a thing? No. And there's no need to. There's no point in overanalyzing things that are beyond the mind. Who knows? Someone may argue that infinity does not exist and the universe is finite. But who can say for certain? Don't overthink things. Instead, act and enjoy the feeling of delight simply from knowing that you are capable of recreating yourself in your own reality. This discovery of light at the end of the tunnel gives you strength, hope, and purpose, which also means the energy for the intention to create such something that from the point of view of the average man in the street is impossible. Conclusion. So, my good ones, we have come to the end of the first volume of our narrative. This is just the first volume, and we will, of course, meet again. If you have not transformed into fireflies, then you are at least close to it, and are currently somewhere in the transitionary phase of a lizard, an elusive, curious lizard. You will bask in the rays of my glory. Narrow your eyes, wag your tails, open your mouths wide, and make zoological sounds, hissing, Tufti, Priestess. And then gather in a flock and whisper to each other whilst glancing back at me. How can we use her in our own interests? The most important thing is that you use the knowledge you have received. Most people, almost all, live without ever waking up. They go through life as if not of sound mind, without looking up or looking about them. They never try to create their own reality and just drift through the existing motion picture like a fish drifts around an aquarium. Do you understand now how strikingly you differ? Don't forget, though, that this does not give you the right to look down on others, or worse, behave towards them with contempt. Don't be sleeping characters. It is a worthless task. Let other people live as they want to and as they are able. Those who are capable of awakening will find me just like you did. Remember me and don't forget yourself. The knowledge described here is given in a very concentrated form, and what is more, it is the kind of knowledge that may appear too vague and elusive. You could let it wash over you without understanding it at all. The reason it is elusive is that it concerns an illusion in which you are constantly immersed. The illusion of action, which consists, if I may remind you, in that you think you live in an independent life and are in complete control of your actions. At the same time, nothing works out the way you want it to. Herein lie the contradiction and the paradox. If you act according to your will, why is it that everything turns out differently to how you would like it to? You think the reason things aren't working out is simply that they aren't working out, and that's it. In fact, the reason things aren't working out is that you are not in fact acting according to your will. You are being led by the script. When you are taken over by anxiety, fear, dislike, and other emotions, you are plunged into a dream, into a trance, and are not yourself. You might think that it is these emotions that have taken control over you, but that is not the case. Emotions immerse you in sleep, and then the script owns you. The other reason that things are not working out is that you don't know how to act so that they do. Instead of composing your future reality, you fight with your current reality. The aim of this book is to drag you out of the illusion. There's not an awful lot that needs to be said on the matter. It is better that you first understand, become aware, and see wherein your illusion lies. This of itself will not be enough to radically change your life, but in the forthcoming books, you will be able to learn much more about it. Every day there is something that bothers you, that makes you feel disheartened or oppressed. You have to catch yourself when these moments occur and redirect the vector of change instead of giving in to them. I can create reality, and it is up to me to decide what the reality will look like. Remember that you are composing an end result, the goal frame, and not a specific course of events. Develop this habit. Remember I said that power is a reality driver? This is what turns the film roll. If you start to compose reality, power will notice you. Power always focuses attention on those who help to turn the film roll. Power lifts them up and begins to help them. Power is not interested in an empty dream mannequin who plays roles in films unawakened. Adopt the following motto. I look for power. I find power and do everything with power. That is, I do everything powerfully, brilliantly, and with soul. Do this, and then power will walk with you. Be careful not to fall into a state of childish glee as you delight in your own miracles. Rejoice to yourself quietly, or reality might be tempted to take revenge. Reality can be like that sometimes, a tad malicious. And even more importantly, avoid bragging about it to your friends. Don't talk to your friends in conversation about the methods for creating your own reality and mannequins. They might not understand, and then you will be laughed at. These techniques should not be looked at out of context. It is better to recommend that your friends read the book for themselves if they are curious about what you say. Do not lend your own copy, as a book like this is a kind of talisman. This book is more than a collection of texts. It is a thing that has power. Hold it in your hands, feel its weight, and the overall sense of it. It is yours. And I am Tufti, Farewell, snails, until we meet again in the following volumes. Methods. Why is it so important to carry out the methods described here? Because methods release you from the script, bring you to life in the film, and instill helpful automatic responses. Awakening method. 1. You wake up the moment something happens. 2. Before doing anything, you wake up. Focus your attention on your awareness center, on the point between the inner and outer screens. From here, you can simultaneously observe your thoughts and what is happening around you. You can see your surrounding reality and yourself within that reality. Nothing prevents you from watching both screens at the same time. You can do this. Examples of external triggers. You met with someone. Someone asked you something. Something happened close by. It doesn't matter what. Any sound or movement. Anything at all that would have attracted and involved you previously. As soon as something happens, focus your attention on it immediately. But do not lose control of your focus. Hold it at the center. Examples of inner triggers. You are planning to go somewhere, do something, or talk to someone. Before you act, bring your attention to the awareness center. It is important to do this beforehand because after you have taken action, it will be too late. You will simply discover that first you fell asleep. Then you woke up and realized you were sleeping. Frame illumination method. 3. Catch yourself being affected by one of the triggers. 4. Wake up. I see myself and I see reality. 5. Activate the plate. Without releasing the sensation of it, compose the reality you desire. 6. Drop the sensation of the plate. 7. If the event is significant, repeat the illumination several times. In the same way that you tracked your attention, now keep track of the impending frame. Here there are 3 triggers. Expectation. Something is likely to happen. You are waiting, hoping for something. Intention. You intend to go somewhere or do something. Problem. Something has happened that needs dealing with. Whenever you are expecting something, don't wait or hope. Compose your own reality. Whenever you intend doing something, do not hurry to start. First, compose the reality you wish to see. Every time a problem arises, once again, don't wait, don't hope, don't fuss. Compose the reality you wish to experience. The frame illumination method is an exercise in developing meta power and at the same time a means of composing the reality you want. Follow the illumination method calmly and naturally. Use thoughts, words, visualizations, whatever works best for you. The most effective type of illumination is visualization. Plate with flow method. 1. Take an in-breath and on the out-breath, imagine the arrow moving away at an angle from your back. Now the plate is activated. 2. Without letting go of the sensation of the plate, compose a picture of your reality. At the same time, make sure that you are breathing freely. 3. Without losing the sense of the plate, the arrow, take an in-breath and on the out-breath, sharply send the arrow into a vertical downward position, triggering both energy flows. 4. Staying aware of the movement of the rising and descending energy flows, say the following thought form quietly to yourself or aloud. My intention is being realized. 5. Then let go of all the sensations you have been working with. What is happening when you do this? You are not only composing your own reality with the help of the plate, you are putting out, sending your intention as a message to the universe. In this way, the energy flow strengthens the work of the plate. If this technique works for you and you enjoy it, you can use this variation of the exercise all the time. But if not, then the basic method will be sufficient. Advantage method. 1. Catch yourself at the non-acceptance trigger. 2. Wake up. I see myself and I see reality. 3. Ask yourself, what is the advantage in this? 4. If an answer comes to you, accept it and take the advantage. 5. If no answer comes to you, try to accept the idea of advantage anyway. Every event or situation, whatever its nature, has a positive side and a negative side. The script is not trying to cause you harm at all because inflicting harm takes energy. The script always takes the path of least resistance. But you give a knee-jerk, non-accepting reaction either due to your nasty character, your propensity for negativity, your habit of self-protection, your high opinion of yourself, or even just because nothing is going your way. As a result, as usual, you spoil your own life and the life of those around you. More than this, the script works to achieve your goal if you set a goal. When you compose your own reality, the script aligns itself according to your composition, even if it does not appear to you that this is the case. But you always insist that everything should go exactly according to your plan, and thereby obstruct the implementation of the plan. Adopt and integrate one simple principle. Seek out the advantage in everything. Literally, seek and draw out the advantage in any annoying situation and in any event that causes you to respond even a little bit negatively. Set yourself this goal: draw out the advantage. But in order for this to work, you need to wake up and shift your attention to the center. The triggers in this case are mostly external. Someone says something to you, does something, or around you something is going on. Anything that causes your non-acceptance, from slight dissatisfaction to absolute fury. Trigger emotions may also include irritation, depression, anxiety, aggression, and fear. To make the right choice, you only need to stop and think for a moment. What might the advantage be in this? And then, do not resist the script. Try and follow it. Literally, follow advice given to you, heed opinions expressed, agree, go to something, and accept things you would have previously rejected or caused you to enter into a possible confrontation. As a result, you are transported into an alternative film role where, in contrast, everything works to your advantage because you stopped at the right moment and chose to benefit from the advantage of the situation. It is all very simple. What you choose is what you receive. In reality, there is one immutable law. The law is this: the more you allow yourself to be guided by the principle of advantage, the fewer events life will throw at you that are harmful. The following method. 1. Catch the moment of the control trigger. 2. Wake up. I see myself and I see reality. 3. Ask yourself, sense, what is the first dictate telling you? 4. If an answer comes to you, follow the dictate. 5. If no answer comes to you, compose the goal frame and try following again. Being endowed with self-awareness, you are constantly asking the question, how? And then you conjure up a whole strategy for achieving what you desire. Yes, in the moments that you ask yourself this question, your self-awareness awakens, but it hinders you because in your mind, rather than holding sight of the goal, you focus on your own silly ideas of how to achieve it. You spoil everything by insisting on having things your own way. What you must keep in mind is not a specific course of events or people's behavior, but the end result, the goal frame. You should observe yourself and where you place your attention to prevent it from fabricating its own plan, and instead follow the subtle nudges of the script by taking them to be the dictates of power. By consciously allowing the script to lead you, you are in fact leading yourself, using the power and wisdom of the script, and then everything goes smoothly and well. It's when you don't allow it to lead you that you end up spoiling everything. It turns out that nothing is going my way, in part, because you're not allowing it to. Here you can use all the triggers which we included in the attention tracking method, frame illumination, and advantage methods. You should make regular use of all the triggers until it becomes habit. This is the only way to learn to wake up at the right moment. If you don't adopt this habit, nothing will happen. The ability to wake up at the right moment is essential. In addition to the above, I'll mention the control triggers. Your most harmful habit is your desire to control everything: the script, events, other people. 1. I want something from people and events. 2. I want everything to go according to my plan. 3. Something is not turning out the way I wanted it to. The habit of controlling must be replaced with a new habit of letting go and following. The image method. As soon as you find yourself wanting something from someone, wake up and stand in front of the mirror. What do you need to do for the reflection to meet you halfway? Take the first step. Give to others what you would like to receive. 1. Catch yourself thinking, I want other people to give me something. 2. Be fully present. Wanting is futile. You have to give. 3. Ask yourself, what can I give that is the same? 4. If you find something similar, give it now and just give up front. 5. If you don't find something similar, then just give anyway. Use the following table to compose the image you want. You want fun time with friends. Compose the image by listening carefully. The reflection gives people socializing with you. You want to be interesting. Compose the image by showing interest, and people will be interested in you. You want to receive help and support. Compose the image by helping others, and people will help you. You want people to understand you. Compose the image by trying to understand others, and the reflection will give you understanding. You want people to be compassionate toward you. Compose the image by showing compassion. People reciprocate. You want approval. Show approval, and people will approve of you. You want to gain respect. Give respect. You'll be respected. You want to receive gratitude. Show gratitude, and you will be appreciated. You want to be liked by others. Be kind, and people will like you. You want to be loved. Be loving, and you will be loved. Simply line up all your thoughts and actions with a plus sign after them. All your give me's have a minus sign after them and either don't work or create the opposite effect. Similarly, all your negative thoughts and actions come back to you like a boomerang. What you don't want: encountering aggressive types. Well, don't show aggression. If you don't want to be criticized, then don't criticize others. If you don't want to feel judged, don't judge anybody. If you don't want to suffer any damage, don't do any harm. If you don't want to be afraid, don't make threats. If you don't want to have an unpleasant personality, then don't cause trouble. There's a general principle for composing the image. Rather than complaining to the world, love it. In reality, all you need is love. It's just that you don't always understand these words in the right context. You want people to love you. You think that first people will love you and then you will love the world, but it should be the other way around. You love, you radiate love without demanding anything in return, and only then can love come to you. The reflection method. In a three-dimensional mirror, the subject and the reflection are connected. So what does that give us? It means that the image you create can become a reflection, and the reflection can flow into the subject. In other words, you can turn a reflection into a subject pretending you have something you don't, or that you are someone you have not yet become. For example, you want to have your own home. You wander around the shops looking at furniture and items to decorate the interior as if you already had a home. Or you might want to be wealthy. You look at expensive things, cars, yachts, spa resorts. Allow wealth into your life. Or you want to become a star in some other area. Behave if you already were a star. Live that life, for now, at least in your imagination. Don't worry that it might feel like a game of self-deception. If you are serious in your approach to the game, reality will be forced to take you seriously. It is a mirror, after all. Your task is to be present and feel now how you would feel if you already had what you want, or already were the person you'd like to be. Fake it, and live out of the faking it. It's make-believe, but it's no joke. No joke, you see. Gradually, the picture of reality will attune itself to your make-believe. Reality loves to create illusions, but it can't stand being fed them. It will find a way of turning the illusion you have created into reality. 1. Catch yourself thinking, I want something, or to be someone. 2. Become fully present. Wanting is futile. You have to start composing. 3. Fake it and behave as if you had already achieved your desire. What you imitate is what you get. Who you pretend to be is who you will become. Live it in your thoughts, in virtual space, and where possible, in your actions. In reality, until you totally believe in the illusion you have created. As soon as you believe in it, reality will believe in it too. There are just two necessary conditions. The first is to take the game seriously. The second is to play the game consistently. Design synchronization method. You were created according to your DNA pattern, And the design, which being located in the information space, you can adjust. The design can change for the better or the worse depending on your condition. Condition refers to your sense of self, who you really are, warts and all. Your condition is more than a passing mood. It's your sense of self. So regardless of the initial parameters of the design, you can turn from a darling of fate into a very unattractive brat, or the opposite, transform from an ugly duckling into everyone's favorite. If you drift weak-willed along with the script, like the incompetent characters of a film, you will fly if you are fortunate, and you will fall if something goes wrong. The fact is that you either control your condition or it is controlled for you. You should intentionally choose your condition. You shift into a new condition by carrying out the 3 types of movement: propel reality, propel yourself from within. But for now, this new condition is nothing more than an imitation. You will shift into a genuine, rather than an imitated, condition when you start to see confirmation that the technique really works. This is why I so strongly recommend that you always pay special attention to any shifts you notice taking place. As soon as you spot a change, immediately activate the plate and savor your achievements, taking pleasure in all the details. In this moment, your condition synchronizes with design and the design is adjusted. This means you are occupying a new mannequin. In a genuine condition, your thought forms are transformed into thought markers. Every day, I get closer to achieving my goal. Really, I do everything brilliantly. My professionalism is growing. I really am getting physically fitter. I really am becoming a more charming and attractive person. Thought markers are confirmation of the fact that shifts can take place. 1. Carry out all 3 actions separately or simultaneously. 2. Observe carefully and avidly grasp any confirmation of your success. 3. As soon as you see a sign of success, activate the plate and consolidate the shift with a thought marker. Thought forms trigger a new reality. Thought markers adjust the design. Integrated action Stroll method. 1. Composing a new reality and yourself within it. 2. Pretend that you already live in that reality and that you are already that new self. 3. And of course, create that new self, fan the creator's spark. This is what we talked about earlier. It is what you are capable of doing inside the film. Propel the forthcoming frame. Propel yourself from within. Take it all seriously, practice consistently, and for a relatively long period of time, always. Then, one film roll at a time, one reflection at a time, your mannequin and your life will begin to change. You will see change, of that there is no doubt.